Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tim's News Explosion on this Monday, the 9th of January, 2023. We are live on the Wilmsfront YouTube, DLive and Odyssey channels, and of course on the interactive entropy software, where I've just put in the link to where you can send myself a direct question, or even better yet, send through a super chat to support Unshackled Productions. Hello to everyone in the live chat, Peak Aussie Man. Now, you will notice that I'm using a different camera tonight. So that's the upgrade you can see on the screen, but also I've got a new desktop computer with increased CPU, which means that this live stream, when I share articles, play videos, should run a bit more smoothly. Fingers crossed as well. They're obviously live streaming, the internet needs to hold up as well. I've reinforced that as well. It is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where the welcome summer heat continues. Last week we did have a bit of a blip on Wednesday where it was a bit wet and windy. Melbourne is, of course, famous for its 4 seasons in one day. Most of the time, though, it's more like 4 seasons in a week. But according to a new study, which was reported on 7 News, Melbourne's climate could be killing us.
Melbourne's wildly fluctuating weather could be putting Victorians at greater risk of cancer or other illnesses. A Monash University study has looked at the long-term impact of the city's famous 4 seasons in one day, with surprising results.
From summer snow to searing heat days later, Melbourne is notorious for having one of the most temperamental climates in the world.
Over the past couple of days and weeks, have certainly lived up to that reputation.
But according to a new study, our wild weather could be taking a serious toll on our health.
Our study is the first to look at the temperature fluctuation and the gene expression, first in Australia and first in the world.
Researchers from Monash University collected blood samples from 479 people exposed to fluctuating temperatures each day for a week. They found significant changes to genes linked to diseases like breast and colorectal cancer, schizophrenia, depression and bipolar. The findings are significant, but it's still early days. Researchers have only tested females so far. They hope to assess men and pregnant women exposed to the same conditions in the near future. 1.75 million deaths are associated with unstable temperatures around the globe each year, and older Australians face the biggest risk. Researchers hope the breakthrough will lead to further action against climate change. In the meantime, there are small steps you can take to protect yourself.
When you are indoors, I think it is better to make the temperature as comfortable as you can to mitigate the impact of the unstable temperature.
Rochelle Brown, 7 News.
Now there's an unstable temperature in the studio when I have the lights on. You might be able to see with the increased camera when the lights make me sweat. But the thing is that we need air conditioning, temperature control systems to make sure that we're protected against the impact of these fluctuating temperatures, which we're told not to do to save the planet. And it was interesting that that study had only had only so far looked at climate fluctuation impacts on women, which of course reminded me of that infamous Sky News UK interview about the sexist air conditioning, because men and women have different body temperatures apparently. So it's only half or a third done this study, because as it said that they need to look at men and pregnant women. I know that Lady of Shalott, she finds our temperatures so intemperate, hot, cold. It's too much for a simple soul from Ireland. And yes, it can cause all sorts of things, apparently. I hope that hasn't been that bad on you, Lady of Shalott. I'm only just joking there, Lady of Shalott. Now, of course, there is actual deadly weather, flash flooding happening in South Australian towns around the Murray River and in the Kimberley region in northwestern Australia. Anthony Albanese was up in the Kimberleys today with his Emergency Management Minister, Murray Watt. They were both wearing their Akubras. They were with Western Australian Premier Mark McGowan, announcing some flood government assistance. Anthony Albanese clearly taking a break from his many photo ops and also his campaigning for the Indigenous Voice to Parliament referendum in 2023. Peter Dutton in the Sunday papers published a letter calling for more detail, which Anthony Albanese just dismissed as culture war stuff. So this is, Albo wants this to be his signature reform of 2023. It's certainly going to, I think he wants it to dominate the media cycle. And of course, if you don't support it, then you don't support the advancement of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians. And now the rain was a minor inconvenience in the final Australian test series against South Africa at the SCG. Most of the pink test, as it is known, to raise money for the McGrath Foundation for breast cancer, most of that was rained out, so it was a draw. Australia had already won the series 2-0 against South Africa. The rain also ruined Anthony Albanese's trip there. He was there in one of the commentary boxes there. Of course, it's okay when he appears in the commentary box. Of course, there was outrage last year when Scott Morrison was commentating on the Test cricket and said Australians were catching wickets in the virus. They literally were when the rain cleared, because of course Matt Renshaw, he was playing COVID positive. And for the Australian Open, players can play even if they test positive for COVID, because there's no mandatory isolation anymore. So with Australia's progressed quite a lot in a year. Of course, Novak Djokovic has been welcomed back warmly by Australian crowds. He was cheered when he won the Adelaide International last night against Daniel Medvedev, the Russian, who is always the villain of the Australian tennis crowds. I'm not sure. I know that Andy Nolch wrote for the Unshackled that it was anti-Russian racism that made them is the reason why Medvedev was booed. I don't know why he's so unpopular. Former Morrison Sports Government Minister Richard Colbeck says Medvedev should have been banned from Australia because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, as if Daniel Medvedev is responsible for all of Russia's actions in the disputed Donbass regions. Now, obviously, We are glad, or at least I'm glad, to see summer finally arrive here in Australia. It is summer in the Southern Hemisphere nations, and it is winter up in the Northern Hemisphere nations, if you know your geography. Now, obviously, we covered it on this program. There was a lot of legitimate concern about whether Europeans would be able to keep warm and therefore alive due to their self-inflicted energy crisis to fight climate change. But the good news is they're having a very warm winter. But of course, this is instead alarming proof of the coming climate crisis. So these graphics were, of course, put on Twitter. So this is from Scott Duncan. We just observed the warmest January day on record for many countries in Europe. Truly unprecedented modern records. 17 degrees in the Netherlands, 12.6 degrees in Denmark, 11 degrees in Latvia, 14.6 degrees, this is Celsius, of course, in Lithuania, 16.4 degrees in Belarus, 19.6 degrees in Czechoslovakia, 19 degrees in Poland. The horror. And apparently this is Europe looked scorched earth this winter, according to this graphic. If you're able to see that this is from January the 1st. So this is from Colin McCarthy, US Storm Watch. Europe is experiencing its worst heat wave ever recorded. The combined intensity and scale this winter heat wave is unlike anything in European history. Yes, it's an absolute crisis that it's not -2 to 20 degrees in Europe where people are freezing and are just snowed in like they have been in North America. These warm temperatures are absolute crisis. I mean, I'd love to have these temperatures in our winter, which was extremely cold, and I got a winter bug because it was so cold in Melbourne this winter, as you'll recall. Now, I'll give you the update on the COVID developments I covered last week. And we had our Health Minister, Mark Butler, announce that incoming travellers from China, Hong Kong, and Macau would have to show proof of a negative medically supervised test within 48 hours of departure, which I don't know how a test which isn't recorded or genomically sequenced in China is supposed to tell us about the COVID situation or variants in China. And we learned not long after last week's show that Mark Butler's decision was not based on health advice from the Commonwealth Chief Medical Officer Paul Kelly, who said there was insufficient public health rationale to test incoming travellers from China. Now, China did open up. The COVID bamboo curtain came down yesterday. So the Chinese people are finally free to travel to and from China without having to quarantine on their return. This, of course, was the CCP's COVID zero backflip. Was due to unprecedented people power protests back in November after that deadly apartment fire in where the fire trucks couldn't get in because the apartment was under COVID lockdown quarantine. Well, now it seems the Chinese people are getting a taste of this type of people power, because obviously I covered last week how the people of China were very excited to bring in the new year after 3 years of rolling lockdowns and COVID isolations. And there were some that were incredibly upset that they could not light their own fireworks. And when the police showed up to shut down them trying to set off fireworks, this is what happened. I don't think I've ever seen that sort of mob behavior happen in democratic Australia, yet it happened in communist China. So this was in Liu County in Henan on the 2nd of January. So there you go. The Chinese people, they're mad as hell, and they're not going to take it anymore. Now, because there is no new mutant variant coming out of China at the moment, no new scariant. The mainstream media has instead been pushing the new scariant out of, it's the CDC has revised its growth forecast or of the new Omicron XBB 1.5, or as COVID alarmists on social media refer it to as the Kraken variant, which of course reminds me of Sidney Powell's promise to release the Kraken about alleged 2020 election fraud, and of course there's that Kraken rum as well. It's not an official name there, the Kraken variant. So the CDC, they revised down its growth in the northeast of the United States from 40% to 27.5%. But too late. The Kraken has been released on the fear of this so-called Kraken, and of course, 7 News again. The fearmongers in chief. I saw that. I'm a Stupid Moron up there said, thanks for watching 7 News so that we don't have to, Tim. 7 News is the absolute most tabloid, fear-mongering, clickbait media in Australia. News.com.au is a close second. This was their news piece on the so-called Kraken variant.
A new COVID subvariant has been detected in Australia and is likely to become the dominant strain. The XBB 1.5 is responsible for more than 40% of cases in the US, surpassing the highly infectious BA4 and BA5 strains. Health experts are warning the new strain could lead to increased hospitalisation rates and put further pressure on our country's hospital crisis. However, it appears to be no more dangerous than the Omicron variant.
See how they put the actual scientific detail at the end of the story, that this XBB Omicron sub recombinant variant, I think that's the technical term, is no more dangerous or lethal than all the other Omicron strains. But of course, the fear pieces continue. Now, Kraken is one nickname that it's got. Professor Robert Boy, an infectious diseases expert at the University of Sydney, he decided to name it Extra Bad Boy. It sounds like he's naming it after himself, with Extra Bad Boy, since his surname is Boy, albeit with two O's. Now, Robert Boy has been in the media quite a bit because he's been the only infectious diseases expert in Australia who's thought that the testing travellers from China is worthwhile. But probably the worst video to come out about XBB 1.5 is from Jimmy Fallon of The Tonight Show, who decided to, sing a song about it to the tune of Love Shack by the B-52s.
was Alpha, then Delta, then Omicron next. But this latest variant might be the best. It's XBB.1.5. Another brand of COVID-19 has arrived. It's a new strain, but it isn't the same. Sounds more like Elon Musk's his name. It's XBB.1.5, not UB40 who sings red, red wine. Put on your mask when you're inside a facility. It could be a robot from a Star Wars trilogy. It's XBB.1.5, not OMG or MP3 or TCBY, or an eye chart made by a really high guy. Sounds like the password of your parents' Wi-Fi. It's XBB.1.5. XBB.1.5.
Okay, that as Pete Osman said, great, another good song ruined by modernity. Because I do apologize for playing that, but you had to see it to see just how bad it was. Whenever you hear Love Shack now, you're gonna be reminded of that awful Jimmy Fallon song. It's I'm not sure if it's worse than Stephen Colbert's vaccine dance song in June 2021. I won't play that again because that was extremely bad there. Now that's enough of the COVID scariant news. Now, as you going back to, as you saw, the Chinese people revolting against the CCP police officers trying to enforce the fireworks ban. They've been surprisingly restrained, the Chinese police throughout the protests against COVID-0. There was no rubber bullets, let alone Tiananmen Square 2.0. I mean, they were much more restrained than Victoria Police, who, of course, shot protesters with rubber bullets and, of course, pepper sprayed old grannies, choked women, which is not surprising now that we hear this news that Victoria Police has a recruitment problem, that there's not enough sadists to join Victoria Police, and there's not many who, well, they maybe thought about joining the police force, but decided that they didn't want to assault old people, arrest pregnant women, and choke people. And so they've launched a new recruitment drive. This is from 9 News.
Victoria police officers are leaving the force at an alarming rate, 1 in 9 walking away from the job. As Mimi Becker reports, the force is now on a desperate recruiting spree to strengthen the thin blue line.
Working on the front line as a police officer, it's a tough job. Now members are turning their back on the force at a growing rate.
This is a crisis period, and I think Victoria Police and the state government need to sit down with us.
Nearly 2,000 sworn members out of a 16,700 strong workforce retired or resigned from January 2019 to June 2022. Around 1 in 4 of those were a sergeant level or above, while 60% had reached retirement age or finished because of ill health. But that's something the Police Association disputes.
The biggest group that we've seen on the data is between ages 30 to 39. If that's retirement age, I'm well overdue for it.
Rostering and flexibility, one of the major factors, along with COVID policing conditions.
It was unpleasant work. but it was also very, very difficult and tiring work. And they were sent to all parts of the state at short notice to work in roles they've never, ever dreamt of before.
To try and retain staff, a spokesperson for Victoria Police says the organisation's currently boosting their mental health and wellbeing support and also undertaking a review into its rostering practices.
Victoria Police now on a desperate hiring spree.
When you get that lingering feeling that you want more out of life, search police careers.
An extra 502 police officers and 50 PSOs to be employed over the next 2 years.
We're not going to meet those targets unless this trend stops.
We are always wanting more people to really consider a career in the force.
Mimi Becker, 9 News.
Yeah, it's not like more or less police on the street of Melbourne is going to make me feel more or less safe. I mean, the home invasions, carjackings and stabbings on the street continue to occur, sadly. I shouldn't have laughed at that. It's just absurd clown world stuff that... Yeah, it's obviously there could be thousands of police officers deployed to crack down on COVID protests, but not to stop or prevent actual violent crimes from occurring. And so, yes, no matter what the Victoria Police numbers, I don't feel any safe or less safe. I saw a comment from here, Peak Aussie Man, who says that state-enforced policing should be abolished. Anyway, I gather you're not a Black Lives Matter, abolish the police style person. Obviously, there needs to be some type of protection for the people from violent thugs. But yeah, certainly we don't feel safe from Victoria. Because I've been a lifelong libertarian, and when I hear police sirens, I don't feel safe. I feel more anxious, and that's probably the same for a lot of people. Now, going over to the United States, Republican House Leader Kevin McCarthy is now the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. He won on the 15th vote, which occurred just after midnight, Saturday, January 7th. Now, obviously, the main two holdouts, or the faces of the 20 rebel Republican representatives who did not vote for McCarthy on the first ballots. So Matt Gaetz of Florida and Lauren Boebert of Colorado, they wanted a better deal from Kevin McCarthy for the America First swamp draining policies that they've been after. And when he finally got the Speaker's gavel, Kevin McCarthy, these were some of his promises.
We will hold the swamp accountable. From the withdrawal of Afghanistan to the origins of COVID and to the weaponization of the FBI. Let me be very clear. We will use the power of the purse and the power of the subpoena to get the job done.
And also, McCarthy, he has also pledged to repeal the increase in IRS agents. So Biden is going to increase the IRS Internal Revenue Service tax army by 87,000. So McCarthy is going to pledge to repeal that, given that the Democrats control the Senate. It will just be a virtue signaling exercise for the House Republicans to repeal that. Because remember how many times during the Obama administration did the House Republicans repeal Obamacare? When they finally got the presidency under Trump, the House and the Senate, they couldn't repeal Obamacare. I mean, McCarthy, he's just a bellwether, a Republican. I mean, he'll just do what will satisfy what he thinks will satisfy both the base and the swamp and the Washington establishment. I mean, remember John Boehner and Paul Ryan? They were going to really fix things in Washington D.C., but they didn't. They were both disappointments there. And of course, Kevin McCarthy's supporters, they were not happy about these Republican rebels. Texas Rep Dan Crenshaw, often called Dan Crenshaw. Remember, he's got the eye patch because I can't remember if it was in Iraq or Afghanistan. He got his one of his eyes shot out. He called the rebels legislative terrorists, and there was another Republican rep, Mike Rogers, who appeared to want to Will Smith slap Matt Gaetz and had to be physically restrained.
To do for your vote, but I mean, look, we all know what's happening here, which is that Kevin McCarthy in real time is as close as you can be, and he seems like, at least at this point, he is not over the finish line.
And he's walking away.
There, he's
somebody's holding somebody back. Look at that. Oh.
Now there's because there was all this C-SPAN footage of conversations going on between McCarthy, Gaetz, Boebert. There was even conversations between Gaetz, another Republican rep, Paul Gosar, with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And so there's been lots of dubbing of the supposed conversations that they were having. They've popped up all over social media, which have amused people. Now, apparently, when the speaker is in the chair, they decide where the cameras inside the house are pointed. C-SPAN, they don't get control of the where the cameras go anymore after that. But these cutaways were much more entertaining than what was going actually on. It was so tedious because I watched some of the roll call votes live, because there's 435 votes that need to be cast for every 15 votes there. Now, there was a theory going around that because Gaetz and Boebert, they didn't vote for McCarthy in the end, they voted present, which actually doesn't count as a vote. So it didn't affect McCarthy getting the eventual majority of valid votes. There was conspiracy that Gaetz and Boebert, they were playing 4D chess, that they wanted January 6th to be, the news cycle to be totally consumed with the speaker's vote and not on the repeated lies of the events of January 6, 2021 in the Capitol. Oh, I'm back there. I thought I lost you all there. Because we saw Joe Biden and the mainstream media repeat the January 6 lies that 5 Capitol Hill police officers died defending the Capitol on January 6. That is a complete lie. There were 5 Capitol police officers who died at on various dates after January 6. But of course, the implication of that lie is that they were killed by Trump supporters on January 6. In fact, the one death that day was of 14-year military veteran and Trump supporter Ashley Babbitt, who was shot dead. She was unarmed when she was in the capital, but was shot by a Capitol Hill police officer who suffered no suffered no consequences for his for the killing of Ashley Babbitt. In fact, he was held up as a hero like the rest of them. And now Ashley Babbitt's mother, she wanted to pay tribute to her daughter on the second anniversary of her death, but the Capitol Hill police decided to arrest her for apparently jaywalking.
You murdered her inside the Capitol, now you're going to arrest her? Get him out of there. 101, have a transport respond. Move to the sidewalk. Move to the sidewalk. If you don't move to the sidewalk, you'll be placed under arrest. Move to the sidewalk. You're blocking traffic. There is no marching allowed. You're blocking traffic. Move to the sidewalk. Now. I ain't blocking traffic. Move to the sidewalk. You got two cars now.
2 years ago in the
I did not murder her daughter.
Yes. Go to the sidewalk. Let's go. Sidewalk now.
So Mickey Whitholf is 58 is her name, and just how insensitive do you have to be? I mean, one of your officers killed your daughter 2 years ago, and you arrest her for apparent jaywalking, which I know it's technically unlawful, but heaps of people do it every day. I mean, and she lives in the DC area. It's not like she came that day from out of town, but they just decided to arrest her that day. So absolutely shameful conduct there. Now, one of the promises that Kevin McCarthy gave to the MAGA Republicans, which could be a reason why there are also some MAGA members of Congress supporting Kevin McCarthy, most notably Marjorie Taylor Greene. She posted this selfie on her Twitter. Congratulations, Mr. Speaker. And she also tried to, she put the phone up to represent Matt, can't remember, it's Matt Rosendale. Is that it? Yes, Rosendale. Donald Trump was calling her, and Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to give the phone to Matt Rosendale, but he wouldn't pick up there. Trump lobbied for McCarthy as well. So certainly McCarthy owes some MAGA Republicans what he promised them, and one of his best promises that we hope that he will implement when the new House rules are voted on next week. That is the formation of a new church committee in the House, which Libertarian Republican Congressman Thomas Massey will definitely be part of that committee. Hopefully he'll be the chair. Now to refresh everyone's memory, or those who don't know what the original church committee was, it was a Senate Select Committee formed in 1975, chaired by Idaho Democrat Senator Frank Church, which exposed the secrets and abuses of the FBI, CIA, IRS, and National Security Agency. It exposed Operation Mockingbird, which was the US intelligence agencies trying to manipulate the mainstream media. They had operatives there to put out information that was of benefit to the deep state. Then there was, of course, the MK Ultra project, which of course was medical experiments conducted on US military personnel. And then there was Project Shamrock, which was the first NSA warrantless surveillance system. Now, even though this was all exposed in 1975 and the intelligence agencies were supposed to be cleaned up in response, it's all happened all over again. I mean, the Twitter files have revealed that the FBI has been interfering. Well, it has operatives in the new media, social media, and has been trying to shape the news that Americans consume on social media. So it's about time of another church committee style hearing. Evening, Dawn. Good to see you in the chat. Now, there's still more Twitter files to be released, but obviously it has it has scratched the surface for the new church committee. Now, it's interesting now, the mainstream media, they're now telling people not to get their COVID information from Twitter, despite that's where a lot of the COVID fear was spread on Twitter. Remember about 4 years ago, those broadcasts by the Sinclair Broadcasting Company or their affiliates did that video saying fake news is extremely dangerous to our democracy. Well, now there's a new extremely dangerous to democracy phrase repeated by the mainstream media.
This is what it looks like when the government and the mainstream news collaborate to brainwash people. Watch this.
Be cautious while looking for health information in the Twitterverse.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information in the Twitterverse.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information in the Twitterverse.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information in the Twitterverse.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information on the Twitterverse.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information on the Twitterverse.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information in the Twitterverse.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information on Twitter.
Be extra cautious while looking at health information on Twitter.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information on Twitter.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information on Twitter.
Be extra cautious while you're looking for health information on Twitter.
Be extra cautious while looking for health information on Twitter.
This, my friends, is called controlling the narratives. On another note, I think more lives will be saved now that they've dropped this misinformation policy.
Yes, the mainstream media clearly have turned on Twitter because Elon Musk dropped the COVID misinformation policy, which of course meant that actual true COVID information could be reported. So my advice to all of you is be extra cautious when getting COVID health information from the mainstream media. Now, obviously, I just spoke about how the events of it was the anniversary of the events at January 6th at the US Capitol, which for the mainstream media and the Democrats over in the US, every day is January 6th. It's their favorite day to weaponize. While now there is January 8, which they can also weaponize because in Brazil, supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro, they stormed the Brazilian Congress, Supreme Court, and Presidential Palace in Brasilia because Jair Bolsonaro, he only just lost to the, old new president. He was president of Brazil in the 2000s, leftist Lula da Silva. This is some of the footage here. And now this is from Zero Hedge. So President Lula has declared a federal intervention until January 31st in response to the protests because it says police could be seen arresting dozens of people. Apparently there was 400 arrests made at the Brazilian capital, Brasilia. There's a bit more damage that happened than happened at January 6th at the capital. Now, he's not actually in Brazil at the moment, former President Jair Bolsonaro, who the mainstream media always call far right. They never say that Lula da Silva is far left. And it was noted on social media that Brazil also has its own J QAnon Sherman. Let's see him here. It's basically a Brazilian QAnon Sherman. There we go there. It's made some people think it's like both events were psyops designed to strengthen the hand of the regime there. So this is obviously incredibly embarrassing for the returning Brazilian president, who's promised to punish those protesters and those who finance them coming to the Brazilian capital. And now he wasn't the only world leader who was embarrassed of late. The president of South Sudan, 71-year-old Salva Kiir Mayard. This footage of him has flooded the internet, and he's now been dubbed the Piss Pants president. Now, this footage was actually from a December 13 road project press conference, but it only has splashed up now this year. And so the president has detained 6 journalists from the South Sudanese Broadcasting Corporation. So they've been detained on suspicion of leaking the president's leak. Now, in South Sudan, don't they have adult nappies, Depends, or male teeners like they sell here, which former Collingwood AFL footballer Dane Swan believed were men's tampons. If they are men's tampons, they're extra large tampons, and well, they're there to capture, well, yeah, if a man has a leaky bladder, you'd hope that a man doesn't need to wear them because they're bleeding down there. I covered last week how some trans women are putting tomato paste down their pants to simulate a female period there, but there was plenty on in his replies that let Dane Swan know that those are not male tampons, they are male adult nappies there, which maybe need to give if we're going to give some foreign aid, maybe we need to give some to the South Sudanese president there. But yes, detaining 6 journalists on suspicion of leaking his leak. That is an appalling suppression of press freedom. I mean, it would be like Joe Biden detaining the people on social media who spread when he fell off the bike. What are some other embarrassing incidents to happen to world leaders? Obviously, there was Julie Gillard tripping over and face planting into the grass on a trip to India. But so far, no other world leader has pissed their pants at a public event there. Now, I still think the public figure who has embarrassed themselves the most this week has been, I call him former Prince Harry, or Harry Mountbatten Windsor, because he doesn't want to be a working royal. So tomorrow, his autobiography, Spare, which is released by Penguin Random House. It goes on sale, and there have been so many embarrassing excerpts that have made their way into the media, and this can't be blamed on Meghan's influence, given the fact that the book has his face and name on it, but obviously he it was ghost. He had a ghostwriter as well, and he has done an interview on ITV, talking more about all the supposed traumatic things to happen to him. But it's just, I mean, he's basically sold his soul for $20 million by basically telling everything about his life, including lots of embarrassing personal detail. He even mentioned in the book about he and William's crown jewels down there, and confirmed that their jewels had been snipped to apparently avoid frostbite down there. And he's claimed that he's killed 25 Taliban soldiers in Afghanistan, which the Taliban, they want him to face war crimes. Now, I mean, it's just embarrassing now. I mean, like, who, like, obviously he didn't write it, but who gives permission for to write about all the embarrassing incidents that are in their life? And he's also mentioned all of a lot of his brother's secrets as well, and his father's secrets, and obviously this has given the tabloids, the mainstream media, just so much material to write headlines about. And there's also a CBS 60 Minutes interview that he did with Anderson Cooper as well. So remember, Harry and Meghan, they just want to be left alone. That's why they did the Netflix documentary. Meghan did the Spotify podcast, and also Harry has released this memoir. I think that a lot of people wish that he'd spared us from all of this detail here. I mean, yeah, like, clearly, yeah, there is this he's had some sort of spiral, and it's just really sad and embarrassing to see to anybody, like any public figure, to put that amount of detail about their lives in that book. I mean, it just shows that he just has no shame, no dignity, and Lady of Shalott says there's no way back for him now. Bridge is well and truly burnt. I mean, he still says he still wants to make up with his family, even though the one that he's left and probably still expects a invitation to King Charles's coronation, which will occur sometime this year. Charles wants a low-key coronation, given that there is a UK cost of living crisis at the moment. There'll be some sort of balance met, I assume. Obviously, King Charles won't make it to Davos this year. I wonder if Prince William will go instead. Davos is of the World Economic Forum is back in January. Klaus Schwab hosts it at his lair in Davos, Switzerland, and of course you'll say heaps of batshit crazy, world domineering crypto messages there. So obviously his most memorable line from last year, "The future will be built by us in this room." Now, that'll be a big January event. So will Australia Day. And of course, the change the date, abolish the date crowd will be up and about in around about a week's time. And we'll get a new Australian of the Year as well. Dylan Alcott, the wheelchair tennis professional, has been, well, an excellent Australian of the Year, given that he has been held the position with grace, being a non-partisan person, and it was also a very low bar to be a better Australian of the Year than the previous one, Grace Tame, of course, who made that puerile face at Scott Morrison at the outgoing Australian of the Year event. So let's hope that the 2023 Australian of the Year is someone worthy and someone who will have the grace and dignity that Dylan Alcott had. I cannot fault him as Australian of the Year at all. And now Greens Victorian Senator Lydia Thorpe has tweeted, "Who's celebrating invasion, murder and theft this January 26th? And I noticed that some of the replies to that question have been meeting up with your bikie buddies again on January 26th there. She did put out a troll post on social media a few weeks back. Her meeting up with just some, I assume they're regular bikies, saying catching up with some old friends. So yes, I'm sure she's got something puerile planned for January 26th, dipping her hands in some more fake blood or something. And also happening on Australia Day is not just the announcement of the Australian of the Year, or that's actually the night before, but there's also we also announced the winners of the 2022 Unshackler Awards. So voting is still open. All 10 categories have been published on the unshackled.net website. So if you haven't voted yet, please make sure that you do. There's 10 categories each, with 10 nominees in each of them. I'll see if I can bring up the categories now. Just to remind you of all the categories. So we have the Australian Regressive of the Year, Australian Unshackler of the Year, the International Unshackler of the Year, the International Cuck of the Year, the Cis White Male of the Year, Triggered Feminist of the Year, Culture Warrior of the Year, Degenerate of the Year, International Media Personality of the Year, and Fake News of the Year award. So if you haven't voted yet, please make sure you do. There'll be no Wilms Front again this week, but there will be another report from Tiger Mountain with Richard Wollstonecroft. So stay tuned for that as well. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I hope that the new gear, the camera, and the new desktop computer helped make everything a bit smoother, though I'm not sure that because with this increased pixels here, you could actually see the dryness of my mouth build up throughout the show there. So that's one of the bad things about high quality video. It shows off that if there's some sort of thing on, like, that comes onto your face or lips, that it shows. So thank you everyone for watching as per usual. If you want to be a financial supporter of the Unshackled, apart from super chatting, go to the unshackled.net /membership. That is where we sell our monthly and yearly membership, and that is also where you can send a one-off donation as well. So if we're bronze $5, silver $10, gold $25, and platinum $50 a month. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you next Monday for another Tim's News Explosion. Until then, stay safe, stay free, stay cool, stay climate controlled, and also stay happy, stay laughing as well. Good night, everybody. Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's